good afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to give an introductory presentation of the Ministry of Utmost Happiness by Arundhati Roy. So these are some presenter, me, Drashti Joshi, Payal Bambania, Hetal Pathak, Insiya and Trushali. We are going to present today's presentation. So these are some points to ponder which we are going to discuss in this presentation. So, about the author, first we need to know who is the author, Arundhati Roy. She born in Shillong, 1959, educated in the Delhi school, and she also studied architecture. And career, she worked as a scriptwriter before publishing her first novel. Her first novel was The God of the Small Thing, which published in 1997, and this also got a Man Booker Prize. And literary style of her writing is known for her poetic prose and unconventional narrative style. Political activism, she is a very active person and she is activist as well. Outspoken critic of Indian social injustice, and major awards she got as a Booker Prize, Sahitya Akademi Award, etc. Major non-fiction work are The Cost of Living, Power Politics, and other as well. Social causes advocating for marginalized groups in India, anti-globalization, environmentalist, human rights activist. And there are several controversies on her as well. And these are some quotes she gave. I quote, "I have always been slightly sure with the people who says, you haven't written anything again, as if all the non-fiction I have written is not writing." Another quote, "For me, everything I see and observe, I harnessed it. I turned it to my pure purpose, which is to be tell stories." Unquote. So these are some key facts about the novel, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. Full title is The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. When written, it is written in 2017 and written in Minnesota. And literary period of that is contemporary postmodern. And genre of this novel is post-colonial literature, magical realism, and political literature. Setting of this novel is India, 2002. Total pages of this novel is 449. Narrative style is first and third person narration. Antagonist of this novel is the Indian government. Climax is Tilo moves into Jannat house. Funeral service to raise a baby with Anjum. After this move in the presentation, you will know that who is Tilo and other characters. So this is my learning outcome from the novel. So I have read this novel. Okay, so when I started reading this novel, I think that I'll complete the novel because I mostly read the novel of 300 to 100 pages in 1 week. But when I started reading this novel, after 100 pages, I realized that I cannot complete this novel. Like my happiness is gone after reading the Anjum story and struggles of her life. And there are some comparison we can do after reading the novel, that Arundhati's novel or her writing style, we can compare with the contemporary writers like Chetan Bhagat. Chetan Bhagat writes very easy language and he writes about today's time. And also he writes about youth. And on the other hand, Arundhati Roy, her writing style is very complex. Like whenever you started reading her novel, you realize that there are so many stories within the stories. So yeah, that's the thing. And Chimamanda Ngozi says that the beauty of multiple storytelling, and she also says that the danger of one story or only story. We can feel here that there is so many stories of one character, and one character has a multiple stories, and that's the thing, and this is the beauty of multiple storytelling. Yeah, that's the thing. Now further, I would request Payal to uh, move the presentation.
Hello everyone. In this presentation, I am going to dealing with a narrative technique and major characters. So first, narrative technique of the novel, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. The narrative pattern or technique is scattered. Scattered means various stories is connected with each other. uh, the scattered technique to connect the different part of the story. For example, chapter 6 about the future of Miss Jabin, Link, Anjum, and Tilo's tales. uh, Different narrative technique are used, like third person omniscient, first person by Biplav Das Gupta, epistolary form, news articles, etc. Autobiographical elements about Roy's own life are woven into Tilo's character. The setting also mirrors Roy's own home. Major characters of the novel. In this novel, so many characters. So I divided into parts. Part one, Khwabga, the Anjum or Aftab. Anjum is the protagonist of the novel. He or she, son of Jahanara and uh, Mulakat Ali, or we can say him or her as a Hijra. Mulakat Ali, father of Anjum. Jahanara Begum is a mother of Anjum. Alham Bazi is a midwife of Mulakat Ali. And Iman Ziauddin is a blind Iman, a friend of Anjum. Kulsumbai is the head of the graveyard, or we can say Khwabga, where all the Hijras are lived. Nimmo Gorakhpuri, Bismillah, Bimla, Jainab is a baby or a child. Later marries Saddam Hussein. And Razia, Sahida, Bombay Silk, Mary, Gudia, and Bulbul. These are the Hijras. And the second part, graveyard, Jannat guest house, or we can say Jantar Mantar. Jantar Mantar is a place in the Delhi. Zakir Mia, is a Mulakat Ali's friend, and Anjum, when Anjum travel with him, and Zakir Mia died in the 2002's riots. Saddam Hussein is a Muslim man, and his original name is Dayachand. He is working in the hospital and later become a security guard in the graveyard. Shehrawat, uh, Shehrawat is Dayachand's father's revenge. Yes, and Mr. Agrawal. Part 3, Kashmir and Dandakaranya. Uh, in part 3, Biplav Das Gupta is as a narrator. He is a officer in the intellectual bureau, and Chitra Rupa is a wife of Biplav, and S. Tilotama is a friend of Musa, and later he marries Nagraj and Biplav. These four are the college friend, Tilotama, Musa, Nagraj, and Biplav. Nagraj Hariharan is a journalist in the third part of this novel. Uh, Musa is a terrorist in this part. Arifa Yashvi is a wife of Musa. Jabin the first is a baby who died at the age of 3. Captain Amrik Singh is a officer, and he is a very strict police officer. Then Jalib Kadri is a human right activist, and SCP Pinky Sodi is a brutal interrogator, only female character in the army. And Balbir Sodhi is a Pinky's brother. Revthi is a mother of Udaya, and is a Udaya is the daughter of Revti, and known as Jabin the second. So these are the major characters, and we may find many others character in this novel. Um so my learning outcome of from this novel, the the novel deals with the issues of religion, identities, caste, and political reality in contemporary India or society. So I feel deep empathy for some of the marginal characters, from the transgender Anjum to the lower caste Muslim Saddam, seeking for a freedom. Their stories may stir compassion for excluded groups, and system may fail to value a person based on identity. And From the title, we may find happiness when someone gets justice, equality, and rights. For us, we may happy with little things, but for the transgender society, when they get not justice and equality and rights in the society, they not feel happy. So, and this is my learning. And what I like in the this novel, first one is a storytelling, how to tell a shattered story by slowly becoming everybody, no, by slowly becoming everything, and multiple languages uses, and the beauty of old Delhi. I want to share one video of old Delhi.
No problem. So this will get this copyright. You can show it afterwards in the. You can see that.
So thank you. I will call Hetal.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. And I am dealing with the plot overview of the novel. So basically, this novel, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness, is a very much complex novel because at a first glance or at a first read, it is very difficult to understand. But I have tried that I can explain the plot overview in some slides that we can get the basic idea about the novel. In the novel, there are five different words, that is Khwabga, then Jannat, the graveyard, Chantar Mantar world, the Kashmir, and Dandakaranya. So these are the five worlds in which the entire novels revolves around, and also there are so many characters, as Payal mentioned. The novel begins in Jannat graveyard with a surreal image, like a sentence, that she lived in a graveyard like a tree. There is one character named Imam Ziauddin, who is an old blind man, became frequent companion of Anjum. So, as we start the novel, the first chapter of the novel titled as "Where The title of the first chapter is says that where do old birds go to die? And when we read the sentence, and Arundhati Roy begins in a way that she lived in a graveyard like a tree. And as we move in the story, we came to know that Arundhati Roy talking about the character of Anju. And then the story moves on, and there is one character named Ziauddin, who is an old blind man, became the frequent companion of Anju. In the second chapter of the novel, we enter into the world of Khwabga. Anjum was born as Aftab to Jahanara Begum and Mulakat Ali. Aftab had born with the parts of both female as well as male, and the character of Ahlam Baiji, who is the midwife of Mulakat Ali, announced that a boy child was born. And then the word hijra or kinnar was there for the people like this child. And I want to read some part that when the Anjum was born, that description is also very interesting in the novel. That a month into her first pregnancy, Jahanara Begum and her husband decided that if their baby was a boy, they would name it Aftab. Their first three children were girls, and they had been waiting for their Aftab for almost 6 years. The night he was born was the happiest of Jahanara Begum's life. So that is how we can connect that Jahanara Begum's and Mulakat Ali's first three children were daughters, and that is why Jahanara Begum's wants a boy child. And when Aftab was born, that was the happiest moment for Jahanara Begum as well as Mulakat Ali. Khwabga means a place of dreams, and outside the Khwabga means dunya wale. So here we can find one interesting concept, that the Khwabga. So Khwab is a Hindi word, and it means that the place or a house of dreams, while the outside the Khwabga means dunya wale. And in the second chapter of the novel, we can understand that the world of Khwabga introduced, as well as the characters who are living in the Khwabga. So that is how we can see the initial part of the novel. Further, Aftab in the market saw a beautiful lady and followed. That is how reached Khwabga. Later on, we came to know about the lady, that she was Bombay Silk Begum Kulsumbi, was the leader of this Khwabga Haveli, and she was very proud of the Hijra community. As we know that Aftab had female as well as male organs, and the word Hijra and Kinnar we came to introduce. And when this Aftab reached Khwabga, he followed the lady, and that lady Begum Kulsumbi was the leader of this Khwabga Haveli and very proud of the Hijra community. Jahanara Begum taking Aftab to the Dargah of Hazrat Sarmad. Then comes the backstory of Hazrat Sarmad, that he came from the Iranian region and in love with the new character Abhay Chand. He adopts Islam language and also disowns it due to some reasons. He used to roam naked in the time of King Aurangzeb. So when Jahanara Begum came to know that Aftab had male as well as female organs, so that is why she take her child to the Dargah of Hazrat Sarmad, and then we come to the backstory or flashback of Hazrat Sarmad story, that he adopts Islam language and also disowns it due to his some personal reasons, and he was in love with the character named Abhay Chand. So here Mulakat Ali is an Hakim who makes medicines. Both Jahanara Begum and Mulakat Ali are not happy to live with a third gender child, means Aftab. There comes a backstory of Mulakat Ali and as well as reference to Changiz Khan. He was an anti-Islam, and along with that, the story of Changiz Khan as a lover. His wife's name was Bote Khaturam, and he fought for his wife. And here is a reference to Ramayana also. So that is why we know that when Arundhati Roy writes in such a way that when we introduce the the characters, we also came to know about the backstory of each character. That first we have the birth of Aftab, then about the character of Hazrat Sarmad, and now Mulakat Ali. That obviously, as a parents, Mulakat Ali and Jahanara Begum was not happy to live with a third gender child, and there comes the backstory of Mulakat Ali, and with that the reference to Changiz Khan, and along with the reference to Changiz Khan we also came to know the Changiz Khan as a lover and how he fought for his wife. Further, Aftab decides to live in Khwabga at the age of 15 or 16, and Anjum starts her own life. So that is how for mother, for mother it was Aftab, like a boy child, and for other it becomes Anjum. And at the age of around 50 or 60, he decides to live his or her own life and enter into the world of Khwabga. And one day, when she visited to Jama Masjid, found a baby around 3 years named Zainab and brought her to Khwabga. And slowly, Anjum becomes the mother figure of Zainab. So, as we know that Anjum always had a kind of desire of becoming the mother, and he also tried some medicines, but medicines also didn't work. And she or he always had that kind of desire to become the mother of the child, and that is why he found the baby at Jama Masjid. Slowly he becomes the mother figure of the child. There comes the character of Saeed, who is seen as an anti-Anjum or a villain at Khwabga. So that is how we came to know that in the world of Khwabga, there are the characters who are living, and one character is add there named Saeed. When Zainab reaches at the age when she is ready to go to school, suddenly she suffered through ill health. So Anjum decides to take her to Ajmer Sharif with Zakir Miya, and it was the period of 2002, and also we know that it was the scene of period of Godhra Kand, and that is why the riots were going on in which Zakir Miya was killed. And when Anjum returns from Gujarat, his behavior was completely changed, and on asking him that what happened, Anjum told everyone that Zakir Miya was killed in that riots, and especially Anjum was spared because she was Hijra. And after returning from Gujarat, Anjum completely changed, and the effects of riots definitely changed her mind, and that is why she started flaunting himself as a man, and also starts dressing Zainab, means the child, in boy's dress, and she left the world of Khwabga and moves to Jannat graveyard. So that is how from this slide we come to know that how the period of 2002 and the scenes of Godhra Kand had a great impact on the mind of Aftab, and he changed his personality. Anjum built a house in graveyard and creates Jannat guest house. Further, as the story progresses, Jannat guest house gets one permanent guest named Saddam Hussein. He introduces himself with the working with the government hospital, and the government hospital and Jannat graveyards are very near to each other, which is nearby graveyard. Yes, and Saddam left his job and working as a security guard with private agency handled by one of the character named Sangeeta Madam. One day, Saddam was caught lying that he is Muslim. So first, Saddam introduces himself to Anjum as a Muslim person. But one day it was caught by Anjum, and Anjum came to know that Saddam Hussein is not a Muslim person. And then comes the backstory of Saddam Hussein's character, and that is how we came to know that his real name was Dayachand, a Chamar from Haryana. So he belongs to a Dalit class. In childhood, as a boy, he witnessed his father's murder. So he thought that one day he will kill Shehrawat. He has that desire of revenge and deep hatred in his mind. He says that, and when we came to know the backstory of Saddam Hussein or Dayachand, we came to know that in childhood he witnessed his father's murder, and from that time he had that revenge to kill the person who murdered their father. And he says that when he came to Delhi, he saw that America was hanging Saddam Hussein. That news was coming on the TV, and we can understand that that visuals remains in the mind of Dayachan from the childhood, and that is why he adopted that particular name. That real name is Dayachan, but he thought that I will adopt the name of Saddam Hussein, and thinking that one day I will also take the revenge of my father, because when the news was coming on the TV and when America was hanging Saddam Hussein at that time, the one kind of dignity on the face of Saddam Hussein, and that is why that thought came in the mind of Dayachan, and that is why he adopted this particular name. Moving towards the world of Jantar Mantar, a group from Jannat guest house decides to go to Jantar Mantar, as there were lots of news about protest and also a lot of gatherings were going on. But when a group of people reach to this Jantar Mantar, they all came to know that the protests which are going on here, it is not about any one particular protest, but there are so many protests were going on. And these are the protests that mothers of the disappeared, means Kashmiri mothers whose husbands and children were missing, and then Manipur nationalist, then Delhi Kabadiwala, and Bhopalis fighting against the Union Carbide. At Jantar Mantar, one of the character, Dr. Azad Bhartiya, and he, adopted the name Azad. Azad. So here comes the character of Dr. Azad Bhartiya, and he is the character, one of the protest who was there since 11 months, where the protests were going on, and suddenly a small baby was found on the footpaths. Anjum decide to take care of the baby, but some people said that they can't take the baby because they were hijras. Then the character of Mr. Agrawal comes and fights with Anjum, and all these things happened at the world of Jantar Mantar, and the police were also called. And suddenly, when the Hijras and Mr. Agrawal were discussing with each other and fighting with each other, in all these things, suddenly the baby lost. And here we can see that the chapter of Jantar Mantar ends here, where the baby lost. So that part remains the secret of the novel till the novel ends. That how the baby baby lost. In the third part of the novel, it discusses about the world of Kashmir. So first we have seen about the world of Khwabga, then we have seen about the world of Jantar Mantar, and now we are in the third part of the novel, we are entering into the world of Kashmir. Here we find the group of characters. They are like Biplav Das Gupta, S. Tilotama, Nagraj Hariharan, and Musa Yesvi. So these four are the college friends, and the story again flashes back to their college days, and we come to know that all. When the novel entering into the world of Kashmir, here we can see these four characters, they all were college friends, and then the story goes back into their college days, when we come to know that all three characters like Biplav Das Gupta, Nagraj, or we can say Naga, and Musa attracted towards Tilotama during their college days. So Tilotama is a kind of character, a mysterious woman, which remains the secret towards the end of the novel. And when these all four characters were friends in the college, and they participated in one drama, and at that time these three characters had some kinds of attraction or closeness towards Tilotama. And as the story moves, Biplav Das Gupta's wife Chitrarupa and his two daughters Rabia and Anya, the baby which was lost from Jantar Mantar, was taken by Tilotama. So where we have end the world of Jantar Mantar, that the baby lost. Here in the third part of the novel, we came to know that the baby was taken by Tilotama. And Dr. Azad Bharti is one such character who links all these characters together. So at that time, the character of Dr. Azad Bharti appeared, and he is the one character who links all other characters with together. And he also suggests Tilotama that give the baby to Jannat guest house, and that way all the characters get connected with each other. The baby is known as first Jabin, and later on the baby known as Jabin the second. And then the name of Musa's wife Arifa and their daughter lived in Kashmir. So in one of the encounter, Musa's wife Arifa and daughter killed accidentally, and that part of the novel or that description in the novel is very much tragic. And when we introduce these four characters, yes, at that time I forgot to mention that Musa was a terrorist, but we have that question in our mind that how Musa becomes a terrorist, and that is revealed here in this part of the novel, that his wife Arifa and their daughter lived in Kashmir, and one of the encounter, accidentally Musa's wife and daughter both were killed, and that particular incident leads Musa to become a terrorist. Further, Captain Amrik Singh, who is a strict officer, and somewhere he also believed that violence is very much necessary when we are working with this group of terrorist people. And another character, Jalil Qadri, was caught and his dead body was found. One day, news, all these things happened, and one day the news came that Captain Amrik Singh killed his family, means Captain Amrik Singh killed his wife as well as his children, and also he committed suicide. And everyone thought that it was only Musa, who is a terrorist, who went there and killed them. So the blame came on Musa, that he is the one who had done this. And as the story progresses, there are so many incidents which took place, and suddenly when yes, this Tilotama goes missing. At that time, Biplav Das Gupta goes into the apartment of Tilotama, and at there he finds some of the photographs and documents, and that is how he came to know that Tilotama is one such character who knows many behind things. At that time, Biplav Das Gupta came to know that Tilotama knows many things, and the character of Nagraj, with an interview with Ejaz, gets to know that how the group of these terrorists works. Almost all the characters are introduced in the novel except for one, that who is the mother of that baby named Jabin the second. So when we are going towards the end of the novel, almost all the characters are introduced with their backstory or flashback story, but only one character is still remain unknown to us, and that is that who is the mother of that baby named Jabin second. In the last 20 page, there is a long letter written by Revati, and the Revati is one such character who is the mother of this baby, Jabin the second. But we came to know that after this much long novel, at the end of the novel, we also find one letter, and that letter is also very long. But what kind of description is there in the letter? We came to know that the letter brings a tragic story, and Revati was raped by 6 police officers, and Udia was the daughter of 6 fathers and 3 mothers. So that is how we came to know that what happened with Revati, and how this tragic story happened, and who is the mother of this baby. So ultimately, Udia was the daughter of this rape, and that is how this Udia connects the entire story. Then the baby found at Jantar Mantar, who was named Jabin II by S. Tilotama in the memory of his friend Musa and his wife Arifa. And later the baby was known as Udia Jabin. So as earlier I also mentioned that Musa's wife and his daughter killed in one of the encounter. So the baby was taken by Tilotama, and later on Tilotama named this baby as Jabin. The Jabin the first was the daughter of Musa and his wife Arifa. And when this baby which found at that place, and it was taken by S. Tilotama. So Tilotama named this baby in the memory of his friend Musa and Arifa, and that is why the baby's named is as Jabin the second. And later the baby was known as Udia Jabin. In the last scene of the novel, Anjum was restless at night, and Anjum and Udia went for a walk. In the ending part of the novel, it seemed that he knew that everything will end happily and beautifully, as now the baby Udia Jabin has come. So ultimately, when we read the entire novel, we came to know that. So can I? When we read the entire novel, we might have question in our mind that what will be the ending of this particular novel and how the novel will ends. But we came to know that ultimately, when the baby Jabin the second is seen as the hope or as a new generation for everyone, and that is how the novel ends in a hopefully or in a positive manner. So that is the plot overview of the entire novel. It is very much complex, and from the plot overview, what is my learning outcome is that multitude of stories as well as characters. Definitely, these points comes the first in our mind when we go through the entire plot narrative. That there are so many characters as well as their backstories, and not only one incident which took place, but there are many stories and characters. And when we read the plot overview, we also able to understand the backstories or flashback of all the stories. And what we have seen that when we refer any kind of novel, when we have to go in the backstory or flashback, it is only about any one character. But here it is not like that. Here almost every character have their own backstory and flashback story, and that is why it becomes very much complex. Also, sort of magic realism, Arundhati Roy and Salman Rushdie. After going through the plot, I can connect the dots that as also Salman Rushdie in his novel Midnight Children use this technique of magic realism, as well as in this novel The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. The novel starts in a way with a surreal image that she lived in a graveyard like a tree. So that is why we can found magic realism in the works of Salman Rushdie as well as Arundhati Roy, and connecting the incidents and issues that we all are facing in today's time. So Arundhati Roy has written the things in such a way that we can connect the incidents as well as the contemporary issues in our society. Arundhati Roy's use of satire through different characters, as we can say that when this character of Saddam Hussein appears, at that time we came to know that he was doing the satire on the doctors as well as this political or a private agency which was handled by the character of Sangeeta Madam. So that is why almost Arundhati Roy uses the satire through use the satire with the help of different characters and political references and connecting the dots. So as Drashti mentioned in the key facts of the novel, that this novel Indian government is on the main focus. So that is why we can connect the political references and the style of Arundhati Roy. So that is how this is my learning outcome after understanding the plot overview of the novel. And now for further discussion, I will like to call Insiya. Thank you.
Hello everyone. So further I am dealing with the major themes of the novel. These are some themes. So first, let's discuss gender identity, social division, and coexistence. Here in the story, through the struggle of Anjum, writer presented the gender norms and showcasing the novel's exploration of fluid and diverse spectrum of gender identities. Anjum navigates a society deeply divided by gender norms, facing discrimination and exclusion throughout her life. Jannat Guest House offers a temporary heaven. Here they are live freely, and outside the world they have no respect. But they here they live freely according to their wish. And their lives of various characters from Anjum to Tilo to Musa showcase how various identities, gender, religion, and social class intersect and influence their experiences, and recognizes that this interconnectedness is a crucial for understanding the complexities of social division and coexistence. So here we can find here in Hijra community there are Anjum, she is a Muslim character, Mary, she is a Christian character, and other two Bulbul and Gudia, they are Hindu characters, and they live in Khwabga, this present coexistence, and outside world there is a dunya. People don't live like this. And while reading the novel, I find out these dialogues related to this theme. Was it possible to live outside language? So in our language there is not a specific word for children like Anjum. He or she, this defines masculinity or femininity. In our language there is a thing that we give gender to everything, is a living thing or non-living thing. So here is the example of this. The fan had human qualities. She was a coy, moody, unpredictable. She had a name to Usha. So even we give gender names to non-living things also. These dialogues are from original text. Next is religion and power. The novel critiques the misuse of religion by powerful figures for political gain. Gujarat Ka Lala's rise hints on manipulating Hindu nationalism and demonizing minorities and erasing their stories. And the novel criticizes both sides of religion extremism. Here in the novel she presented the Gujarat riots also, Sikh riots also, and the Kashmir terrorism problem also. And she described that how the problem of religion and power, if they are blending together, then it is harmful for any nation. And novel warns about the danger of mixing religion and politics. When religious leaders gain political power, like some Hindu and Muslim figures in the novel, it can fuel extremism and threaten our safety and freedom. Through portraying the extremism of religiously affiliated political leadership among Hindus and Muslim alike, Roy highlights the danger of lack of separation between church and state poses to citizen safety and liberty. She says that church and the government, they have to work. They have to work. In a different way, that they don't have to mixing with each other. The cost of modernization. In that era, there is a time of globalization and modernization. So, Arundhati Roy highlights some effects of this modernization. And the cost of modernization fall heavily on those excluded from its benefits, including farmers, beggars, and Kashmiris. This group suffers literal and figurative deaths as their lands, livelihoods, and even existence are threatened. So they are these people are forced by governments to give their land on the name of that vikas and this progress. The guest house symbolizes a space outside the norms of time and progress, offering a temporary solace from the harsh realities. While Indian modernization at a rapid pace in this novel, Arundhati Roy exposes the dark side of progress, highlighting the exploitation of marginalized communities and the erosion of cultural identity for the sake of economic gain. So, in this novel, Arundhati Roy exposes the dark side of modernization and globalization, and she says that how people have to suffer because of these things. Social status in contemporary India. The novel highlights the plight of Dalits like Saddam Hussein. So, as Hetal described that he is a Chamar originally, but he changed his name and he want to take a revenge of his father's murder. So, this describes the status of people in India, marginalized people and people who are belonging to minorities. They have to suffer, and India's Muslim community faces increased oppression as Hinduism aligns with national identity. The incident in Jantar Mantar exemplifies prejudice against Muslims, denying them basic human rights and Indian belonging. India's progress comes at the expense of its poorest citizens who are forced to leave their homes or give up their land. These people simply don't count as a people, and their entire existence is ignored or treated as a person, probably by the Indian government. So, here we can find that the marginalized people or people who are not good in economic condition, they have to suffer the more. How and why stories are told. Stories serves purpose beyond the truth. Stories are for entertainment, not for the truth. She wants to say that. And here Arundhati Roy says about rewriting of history. So here there are many examples of rewriting of story like Anjum's flyover story, and in the novel there is a one dargah, Hazrat Sarmat Shahid Shrine, and people visit that dargah. But each and every people have their own version of story for this saint. Sarmat's spirits permitted those who came to him to take his story and turn it into whatever they needed it to be. And here she also described how powerful figure controls the narratives, erasing identities and histories like Gujarat Ka Lala manipulating the sound and light show. Even stories are commodified in supermarkets of grief. And there is other example of rewriting the history of Mughal empires also. And the novel acknowledges the impossibility of one true story, demonstrating this with conflicting accounts of Thilo's arrest. Embracing diverse perspective is a crucial, avoiding the dangers of a single official narrative. Here is the quote from original text: "If you like, you can change every inch of me. I am just a story." So here we can find a multiple storytelling and especially rewriting of history or any story. And through this, she wants to tell the importance of the story, how the stories are told, and why the stories are told. The nature of paradise. The title of the novel concerns on happiness. It deals heavily with the where happiness can be found and what it consists of. And another way of putting this is that the novel involves the search of paradise, a place of perfect pleasure and contentment in the Abrahamic religion. So the title of the novel is The Ministry of Utmost Happiness, and where we can find happiness. So people connect this with idea of heaven or paradise, especially the in Abrahamic religion. So Khwabga, it's a Hindi word which pronounced as a house, dream house. It's also offer a glimmer of hope for marginalized hijras, but it's more like a beautiful dream than a real solution. Even though it welcomes people from different backgrounds, it feels separate from the harsh realities of outside world. Its very name, House of Dreams, reminds us that it's a temporary escape, not a permanent fix to the problem faced by hijras. Jannat Guest House, here also a graveyard name is also Jannat. Guest House is also Jannat, which literally means the paradise. Acts as a sanctuary for outcasts. Yet its a location in a cemetery and a fantastical element suggests it's both fragile and broader on the afterlife. The kind of paradise the novel describes is one that exists alongside suffering and death. Through this theme, the nature of paradise, she also involves the theme of death and life. So everyone wants to go to heaven, but for that, people have to die first, then they will go to heaven. So this idea she also reflects here, and she also says that you have to make your paradise here in this world, not to another world. Here are my learning outcome. So first, I read some part of the novel where I find that question of acceptance and discrimination for transgender in our society. So the people even till today don't accept the people like Anjum, and we can see here that her parents, Anjum's parents, are also not happy to being a parents of a transgender child, and even their parents are abandoned this type of children. And narration technique of Arundhati Roy, it's very interesting. In this novel, she intertwines the historical incident and poems, and she also put news articles and epistolary novel. She, as Hetal mentioned, there is a letter of Revti, and here is a poem by Mir Taki Mir. So she uses this to satirize the power and contemporary time or contemporary situation. And we can see in historical incident, she portray about the Gujarat riots, Sikh riots, the history of Jammu and Kashmir, and then Jantar Mantar, and the history of Genghis Khan also. And there are such many historical incidents are there. She says about diverse narratives and challenging one-sided views. So there is we can find multiple storytelling, and in the case of Hazrat Sarmat Shahid, there are many stories about that. In our time, it's a digital era. It's hard to find there is a single truth and which story is true. So it's here it connects with the only story by Julian Barnes. Dangers of blending religion and power, Maoism, Kashmir. There are some events which are still relevant in our time. And in a historical incident, she portrays this Rue Afza, history of Rue Afza, how it's became, it's first started by Hakim as a medicine, and after sometimes people uses it as a drink, and it becomes popular in India. And this through this, she says that this drink she watches the bloody separation of a country of India, of East Pakistan and West Pakistan, and the journey of Rue Afza to Coca Cola. We can read it as a symbolically as a global part of globalization. And here she satires on a superstition in case of Anjum and Zainab. When children becomes ill, firstly their parents visit holy shrines or any religious place rather than hospitals. So here Arundhati Roy make a satire on this also. So these are from my side. Thank you very much.
Very good afternoon to everyone. I am going to deal with the symbols and some of the research articles. Yes, research articles and one of the book review. I also deal with the reading of the book cover of this Ministry of Utmost Happiness. Everything has been talked a lot, and I will try to focus on the important point. This Hazrat Sharmat Shahid, a shrine, who was a holy man in Indian Islamic tradition, and came from Armenia in pursuit of his love, who was a Hindu man named Abhaychand. So, during that dwelling in India, he was executed for apostasy due to religious doubts and refused to recite Kalima. That there is no god except Allah. So he just said there is no god, there is no god, and emperor of that time executed him. And the shrine of Hazrat Sharmat Sahib became the most popular and a symbol of intense spirituality. Visitors came there to fulfill their wishes, their ambitions. Like our Jahannara Begum also went to the shrine of Hazrat Sharmat when she like her one of her son was having both genital parts, male and female. So she went there. But at the same time, Hazrat Sharmat was in search of his love with Abhaychan. So there is a queer relation. So like it reflects that novel's broader theme, which is about the this queer about the life of Anjum as well. So it is a kind of contrast in the novel. The old man who gains a fame during this hunger strike at Jantar Mantar, which symbolizes India's impasse, and the hunger strike was against corruption, and it represents hope, but manipulated by the elite, and this whole protest or strike were taken by this elite, and it was like manipulated. Hindu nationalists take control over this entire protest, and which highlights the tension between appearance and reality. The generational gap is also there, and it also raises doubts about activism's true impact in societal changes. Nowadays also there are so many protests are going on, but what is the true form of it that has been at a certain point is getting missed. Then Shiraz cinema is also a symbol of Indian imperialism in Kashmir, because initially this Shiraz cinema was shut down by Allah Tigers, a group of Muslim Kashmiri Muslim separatists who held that cinema hall were un-Islamic and vehicle of India's cultural aggressions, and it was seized by Indian Army. So Indian Army was having a hold on that, and through that, Roy tries to illustrate the cultural and military imperialism on the ways of entertainment cinema as well. And it also tries to demonstrate the danger of extremists. The motherhood is also central in this novel, because Anjum's mother Jahannara Begum was like having a great desire to have a boy. Then the Revati, who was raped by 6 policemen. Tilo is a mother who takes this Jibin the second, and Anjum's she raises up 2 children as well, who are not her, but the part of motherhood can be seen in her part as well. It is also charged issue for characters with varied reasons, because all these all these female character having various reasons for their particular actions, and this motherhood is quite linked with the nationalism of India, which reflects complexity in defining Indian identity. Jannat guest house, or a funeral parlor that has been constructed, or we can say created by this our central character Anju, which symbolizes inclusivity and diversity. And people like Jannat guest house is near this graveyard, and people came there who were not having their own identity, like Anju and other characters who were not accepted by people, so they came there. Safe haven for marginalized individuals, like this Dayachand also went there, who is also named as Saddam Hussein, idealized form of diversity of India, proximity to death signifies tenuous existence. It also represents a glimpse of spiritual paradise. It is like the name is given Jannat. So why it is given Jannat? Because the people who are cast away, who are like thrown away by the society, they are accepted there. So it is a kind of a heaven on the earth, Jannat. Dunya and Jannat or Khwabga. And this in this novel there is a Dunya world, and Jannat, which is paradise, but both are metaphor. Dunya is used by hijras for life outside of them, because they are different from, they are not belonging to he or she. So it was like Dunya for outside of them. And Khwabga is a place where hijras are living. So it is a kind of a khwab place, like Jannat guest house and Khwabga, seen as utopian heavens, and which are detached from societal horrors. So they are feeling safe there. Khwabga and similar places are portrayed as necessary for those who can't conform to the world's realities. Complexities blur lines between paradise and reality. So it is also like harsh realities of the society has been presented through the metaphorical places, Dunya and Khwabga or Jannat. This body refuge means the West and internal organs. In this novel, there are recurring imageries of various cultural context. There is a Dalit, Saddam Hussein, whose name was Dayachand, but he adopted the name of Saddam Hussein because his father was killed, and he was a chamar, not accepted anywhere. West as a symbol of resistance to status quo. Dalit protest by bombarding a government official's home with cow carcasses. And surplus people resist attempt to relocate them, emphasizing their bodies as a problem. Anjum's act of being under the street light of like that baby Udya Jeban symbolizes the future lying in what's historically considered unclean. So the waste is the future that has been interpreted in this way. Internal organs symbolizes inner turmoil and divisions. At a point in novel, a character is like having that mentality that there his or her organ are connecting or having this conversation like that. Characters and countries learn to live with schisms. So the West is symbolizing the future. The sound and light show, where this point is very important, because the sound light show was one where the history of Muslims were given, the history of hijras, because at that time of Mughal emperor, so they were having lots of wives, and for that, to take care of them, they were having a hijra to take care of their queens. So the history of Mughals has been erased by Hindu nationalist government. So the history of hijras has also been erased as well. And at this this show, the sound and light show, this Kulsumbi used to take the people at Khwabga of her community, but now that agenda has also been like erased as well. Gujarat Ka Lalla, that has been Gujarat's beloved, symbolizes Hindu nationalist threat, and which is based on the chief minister at that time, Narendra Modi, rise to prominence after 2002 riots, Godhra riots, and which foreshadows danger for characters, represents looming threat of Hindu nationalism, because the nation is moving in a direction of a one religion and is becoming much religious. Color saffron, that also connected with the Hindu nationalism, and it also represents the violence of Hindu extremist parties, and the riots, Godhra riots, that is also connected here. Vulture in the initial part, and at various points, this symbol of vulture is also coming, which is symbolizing the unintended casualties of modernization. So It also represents group threatened by social changes that vulture will take away. Metaphorically, it portrays death of questioning. So like they are stopping you to question that has been like that is in your hand. So people are becoming more careless, and people are not allowed to question even. Reflects impact of nationalist agenda on diversity, having one nation, one language, one nation, one this. So that agenda is carried through this symbol and challenges the plurality within the nation. The last chapter is named Yukum, the dung beetle. When this dung beetle is a hope of novel's ending, because at the end this Udaya Zibin also represent the hope for the future. And this if this symbol is used like humorously, because it is an insect who you like makes a ball out of dung and who lies on its back with legs in the air to save the world. So like there has been a contribution, and this term can also seen in the terms of eco sensitivity or sensitivity, because this dung beetle carry this balls of dung in deep into the soil, and which helps to earth to like grow more plants and preservation of earth. But in this novel it talks about the future, that there is a still a hope. Now reading the book cover of this, there are various books who are having book covers which are very interesting, and that incorporates the essence of the novel. Same is in this book as well. The cover of this book, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness, has been designed by David Eldridge, and the David Eldridge also created the book cover of Roy's earlier book, The God of Small Things. The cover is a vertical picture of a decaying white marble grave with a white red rose placed right below the book title. In the novel there are the novel also begin in the with the graveyard, in the graveyard, and Anjum, our central character protagonist, is living there. One of the novel's core setting is the graveyard. It becomes very important in the story, and it speaks to many of its themes and ideas, so it felt right to reference that setting on that jacket. So throughout the novel that has been shattered stories that are linked with each other, and there is riots, there are strikes, there are shattered stories of characters and search for their existence, everything. It also conveys the conveying light, eroding, distressing part of the stone to create a sense of age and decay. So here the part of decay that also symbolic. The object of beauty are in fact the process of decay. Also there is a tiny fly here in this part, if you will see carefully. There is a fly caught in time on the front of the book. So all the characters are caught in a time frame within the novel. This I have given this link here. It is a audio video book, or it can be categorized in e-lit category as well, though not created digitally, but it has been not by writer, but it has been created again in a digital form, which is very interesting. Audio video, Roy's own voice of reading the book, some of its parts. There are symbols through which you can identify certain things. There is music. So you all experience it. It is very much interesting. It is the website name is also the Ministry of Utmost Happiness.com. I have taken 3 articles and 1 book review that is very interesting. First one is Political Overtone and Allusion in Arundhati Roy's The Ministry of Utmost Happiness by Prashant Muraya and Nagendra Kumar. It talks about the political overtones and allusions in this novel and provides a background of the novel, which is divided into 2 main storylines following of Anjum, the transgender, and in Delhi, and another is about Tilo Musa Naga and about the Kashmir conflicts. It also draws allusions to major political events, figures, and issues in contemporary India, which includes 1975 emergency, 2002 Gujarat riots, and rise of Hindu nationalism under Narendra Modi, corruption, protest, and cow vigilant violence in Unnao also. So that video you can also find through these allusions. Roy tries to situate the characters amidst India's complex recent political history. The analysis show how she offers critique of figures like Indira Gandhi and Narendra Modi. This article also demonstrates how she uses allusions skillfully in the novel to highlight the plight of marginalized communities in India and comment on its volatile political climate in recent decades. Then this ecofeminist study of Arundhati Roy's The Minister of Utmost Happiness by Swati Chaudhary, it looks at the novel with the ecofeminist lens, which talks about nature and female, both women and nature, how they are exploited and oppressed by patriarchal societies. And the background is in India, tracing it back to movement like Bishnois and this Chipko movement. Anjum is a transgender woman who is marginalized by the society, and Roy tries to practice like testing on animal and impact on modernization on non-human species. Where does the old bird die goes? Yeah. The first one is, where do old birds go to die? And the death of birds due to this experiment of the medicine that has been given to cows to produce milk, all the references are taken there, and through which how it is being having a kind of impact on the nature as well. The plight of women in India, from Tilo's unhappy marriage to the exploitation of Adivasi women, it argues that Roy show how the fates of women and nature are intertwined through oppression by an uncaring patriarchy. It also criticizes the modern development policy, which has left no place to survive in this poisonous environment for non-human species to live. That the environmental changes that we are also experiencing today as well. Ecofeminist perspective in the novel highlights the parallel between injustice against women and degradation of natural world. It concludes that the novel encourages embracing nature to transform gender issues and this natural issues. At the end, the metaphor of dung beetle is also given. Third one is political and gender issues in the Ministry of Utmost Happiness. It talks about 4 to 5 major things. Transgender identity, as in the presentation earlier also mentioned, that there is no specific identity of them. They are neither he nor she. So, like in Urdu, the only language she knew, Jahannara Begum, all things, carpets, books, everything had a gender. Everything was either masculine or feminine, man or women, everything except her baby. So it talks about Anjum, women's oppression. Tilo, though she is not like Rahel in the God of Small Things, as this article tries to explain about or talk about. She is much liberal in her thoughts, not that much, but till there is a restrictions and inequalities faced by women in a patriarchal society. There is Kashmir conflict, trauma and violence, this terror, marginalized voices, caste, religion, minorities, then queer communities, all the things has been also talked. National identity, crisis of national identity, feeling disconnected from the Indian nation state, the desire for self-determination, gesture at issues like religionism and separatism. This one is very interesting. This book review is available in YouTube. This book review initially talks about that if you want to read the book, and if you have an excuse that you are not getting an essence out of it, if you are as you are not getting something out of it, and it is being complicated, that's not the excuse. So initially it starts with a very good point, and it also talks about why to read this book, because it says that don't read the book for characters or plots. Then what is it about? What is Ministry of Utmost Happiness is about? So there is a non-linear plot, so not constructed plot, as such, which explores the India's national character, highlighting issues, mentalities, and scenarios that are unequal, uniquely Indian. India belongs to Hindi language. So one nation, there is a extreme nationalism is there. Different protest happening at the same time, that I'll also mention in my learning outcome. Uh, a comparison with 100 years of solitude. This book reviewer compares it with 100 years of solitude, a novel by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And there is the chaotic and devastating military conflict in Kashmir, and notes the novel's departure from cinematic influences. Like in cinema, the story in this novel is very complex and talks about the realities of the time, whereas it differs from the cinematic influences, and it much remain in the state of novel, talks directly about the points, not that beating around the bushes. Now let us come to my learning outcome. Like while exploring the articles, book reviews, and symbols, I came to know that why Roy has become so controversial within the Indian nation. There are Roy tries to depict the political milieu of that time. But if we see in recent time as well, there are so many protests are going on, like this wrestler protest at Jantar Mantar, farmer protest, then this burning Manipur problem, this Bilkis Banu case, which is also connected to this Godhra riots 2002, where she was gang raped, and verdict of her rapist came in this recent time only. LGBTQ protest, which is directly connected to the queer reading of Anjum, what Arundhati Roy tries to portray. Religious dominance. So just past 22nd January, so everyone knows that, and debate over one nation, one language, and saffron color. In the last week, we have seen it thoroughly, how one nation is accepting one color, one language, one religion, and getting closer to oneness, rather, and avoiding its plurality, and the political use, how political parties are using such things. Then hypocrisy is also there, because people used to go to worship the shrine of Hazrat Sharmad, who is also queer. And it can be also connected to the joys of motherhood, because at the end of the novel, the Nuigo's son make a shrine of her, and there women came to pray her for getting the joys of motherhood. But at the same time, when Nuigo, the protagonist, was in her life, she was not getting joys of motherhood at all. Initially, she was like infertile also. So there is a contrast also there. And we, in our society also, we go to pray to person or a shrine or something which are not having that. Like, we are going to babas and all that to get the advices of happy married life, getting children, and all the things. So there is a kind of a hypocrisy within that. And there is also the question remains, that why don't we question? Because nowadays we are doing what we have been told, so we have ultimately forgotten why it is necessary to question certain things. So Roy tries to explain and elaborate the importance of questioning within the society when you are facing certain things. Also, the if Arundhati Roy has just written this book in 2008, and so many things has been changed, but the overall issues are remaining the same. The same thing is getting repeated over and over again, and there is no solution at all. Then the last point is that reading the book cover, because what is the importance of book is to capture the essence of what is in the book. So like, we documentation committee are also going to prepare a memorabilia. So I was thinking that how can we capture the essence of our whole memorabilia within the single cover. So it is like that. In the importance of little fly is also there, so we are also looking forward for that. So this is all about our presentation. These are the references that we have used, and this is all about our presentation. Thank you.